Okay, one of the major developments that you touched on earlier in the program was the call center. How is that coming along so far? Is there a tentative date that that'll be opened up and be able to employ some locals?
ITAS is still working on their centers. They've decided to build two centers, one in Samoa and one here. I think the beta center here is pretty much a demonstration one that they need for customers to review and see what they want to do with it. So I'm expecting that the beta center might be going into operation before September. But the bigger center that they were talking about earlier is not going to happen for maybe a couple of years. Hopefully it's less than that. Hopefully that with the launching of the beta center, that they will immediately draw, good customers into the center, which will assure, the construction of the bigger one. But right now, I think we're only looking at a 200-seat one, as far as I can see from the plans.
200 seat is in 200 jobs?
200 seat is probably anywhere between 200 and 400 jobs. So that's not too bad, because these are jobs that I think the majority are not going to be dependent on minimum wage. So we don't have to worry too much about that issue. Then when the bigger call center, eventually, comes up, then hopefully that we will be able to transition a lot of the managerial, supervisory kinds of people that will be laid off, canneries, as well as the government, because right now we're also looking at the potential of trimming down government operations, because we've estimated that our revenue losses from Samoa Packing is going to be quite significant, because it's not going to be just the Samoa Packing sector that we will be losing revenues from. We're also going to be losing revenues from the fishing boats, from sales, from all those things. So we're probably looking at, over the next 5 years, the potential of $30 to $40 million losses in government revenues. We have to anticipate that well so that we can plan our manpower requirements around that, because if we don't, we're going to get caught with much higher payrolls and not enough monies.
Okay. I had a question that I wanted to ask you related to what you just said. There's been word that there are going to be some layoffs for short-term contractors at Department of Human and Social Services. Does that kind of revolve around what you just said, just the fact that the revenues aren't where they were before when you had both canneries booming?
In a way, yes. But really, I think what's been rumored is really the director's effort to review the department and determine what is needed and what is not. And I believe what she's announced to me is that there's a lot of temporary contractees that are not necessarily needed. They were contracted to do certain things, and she believes the time for those things has been done, the job was served, and there is no need to renew the contracts. But following what we're looking at, the future, it just makes it just that much more difficult to relocate them someplace else.
Okay. And finally, before we wrap up here with you, Governor, are there any words of reassurance that you'd like to give our viewers who may be watching this program right now?
If I may, I think, things are not, sounds really, really bad at this time, and we'll probably take a pretty serious blow in the beginning. But I don't think we're going to sink, with this as we transition into a new era in our economic development. I think we will slowly adjust to the conditions, And I'm still very, very hopeful that we're going to bring in other industries that will replace the jobs at the very least, and will put people back to work, you know. And where I've instructed the Department of Commerce and our Department of Human Resources to look at ways, and as well as the stimulus office, to look at ways that we could probably capitalize on some of these stimulus funding to do relocation of people, reemployment, retraining, and, you know, whatever we can do that is, you know, authorized and approved within the stimulus funding, we will do. Even in our existing long-standing grants, I've asked DOC to look at our community service block grants and community development block grants and see if there are funding in there that we can do retraining, that I can fund the college or the ITT or the e-commerce, you know, development corporation. Whatever I can do within those capacities to retrain people for new jobs, that we will do. One of the things we're working on doing is getting the list of all the employees that are about to be laid off, and they're training their expertise, and then we will kind of have a job placement kind of list with human resources that we will try and help people locate to where they can continue to work. Maybe it's in the private sector, maybe it's in the government, but we will try to help people relocate so that they can continue to produce and help with the development. So I don't think, you know, the future is all as bleak as it may seem. I think we can all continue to pray as we are strong believers that God will help us find our way in you know, in the future, both near and in long term.
Okay. Governor, thank you very much for coming on. I know you have a very busy schedule, especially over the last couple of weeks, and we thank you again for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
Hope to have you again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, we'll wrap up the 411 right after this. Stay tuned.